Lonerism.
That's it? That's the only thing you're going to start with, just bonerism?
Welcome to North American Scum, podcast where we discuss our unimportant opinions on important and unimportant albums.
Fucking hell.
Today's album, as you could probably guess by my brilliantly succinct intro,
Shut the fuck up.
it's going to be Lonerism
It's going to be bonerism.
by Tame Impala.
Lame. Bonerism by Lame Impala.
That's actually a really good... If somebody was just going to make a band to parody this one thing, that would be amazing.
It's just fucking Weird Al Yankovic. Like, that's it. That's the whole thing.
He would have to rename himself Tame Impala.
Lame Impala.
Whatever.
Whatever. Lonerism. Fucking maybe one of the biggest psych records of the 2010s, I think. Either way, pretty important in terms of the Tame Impala discography, because like the first 30 records of it are important to him, each and every single one of them in some way or another.
Are we okay? Not to jump the shark. Are we gonna go over Slow Rush eventually? Do you think?
Of course we're gonna go over Slow Rush eventually. Definitely. I mean, I feel like we all know, and I think everybody knows. It's become almost psychotic at this point that Currents is like the Tame Impala record that everyone fucking loves to talk about. But I feel like in the music community, Lonerism was also like pretty huge.
Yeah,
So-
it's pretty much just as high up there.
And it's funny because Lonerism is just a better inner speaker in a sense.
Yeah. So I mean, Inner Speaker isn't talked about as much, and we know why. Except for the Nintendo conspiracy theories surrounding it. It's really just him trying to find a sound, and he finds it in this record, as we're gonna get into. An interesting thing when comparing this to Inner Speaker is the fact that they both go for the psych rock sound, but Lonerism is at the same time more focused and experimental than Inner Speaker.
Yes, he is growing into his own sound. He's actually trying new things out that he might have not done on Inner Speaker. There's a lot more experimentation on this record, and I love it for it. This record is definitely like I almost thought of it as a stepping stone when I first listened to it to Currents, because of course I loved Currents more. But after listening to it, look, I'm not gonna solidify it, but I think this might be my favorite Tame Impala record.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
This one grew on me, but let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's quit trying to be above it and jump into the first song on the record, Be Above
Gotta
It.
be above it. Gotta be above it. Gotta be above it. It starts with that fucking gotta be above it part, and I fucking
It's
love
got a
that.
much less harsh start than Inner Speaker.
Yes, because that one just starts with static in your right ear.
but what's cool is this one, it has like a layered feedback climax on the drums that happens.
Yeah, that's just like he's turning up the delay repeats and then turning down the high end, so when it comes back in, it's like heavier. Or no, I'm not saying to turn down the high end. I meant low end. But either way, like, so that's what it feels like. He's like this happens throughout the entire song, where he lifts you up and then he just drops you on the fucking ground as hard as he possibly can. That's how it feels when I'm listening to this song.
It's a good way to that specific sound that he does with the drums is a good way to wake you up and bring you into the album.
Yes, this is. I really do like Be Above It as an intro. This one's.
The two things that stick out to me with this song is the sound of the instrumental, the specific effects he has over it, combined with, more importantly to me, the composition of the vocal line. The melody itself, it's very Lonerism. Be Above It is one of the most Lonerism songs on Lonerism, which is always what you need for an opening track.
Yeah, this song does a lot with a few elements that it does have. Of course, the repeating drum loop, the vocals, heavily manipulated synths, and then Kevin's surprisingly optimistic tone, which I think he keeps for most of the record. This is surprising because the lyrics, which are about being lonely. Not this song in particular, but the themes that pops up a lot. This one, he kind of urges himself not to fall into the mindset of letting people get in his head. Maybe he's trying to avoid the negative feelings they might say when he's talking about music or everyday anxieties. People just tell him he's never going to be as good as he wants to be or anything, or insecurities about himself, whatnot. And the little gotta be above it thing that is repeating, I imagine that as like maybe his like mantra, just constantly repeating him to himself, like, yes, I am mentally stronger than these people. That sounds pretentious. That's not what I meant to say, but I think you know what I mean.
Yeah, you're pretentious. That's what you mean.
No, whatever.
Straying away from lyrical content, while it is important on this, I think this first track, okay, lyrics are going to be important a lot more for some later songs where I think the lyrics actually kind of grip me. And there's one song where the way the lyrics are used is fucking cool. And I'm going to bring it up and I'm going to nut about it when it happens. But for now, I'm nutting over right when the fake audio glitch happens in the synths around like a minute 45 in this song. You know what I'm talking about? Where it feels like it cuts out.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That fucking moment.
He does a few details like that throughout this record where he just fucks with the audio. And that is like, is that a thing for psychedelic rock?
Yeah, that just has to, like, no, that's definitely a thing for psychedelic rock or anything that wants to feel like it's like broken. I think an easy thing to think of might be Current's the first song, Let It Happen, where like when it goes into that long outro bridge sort of thing, if the song starts glitching and repeating. And that one, the thing he did here was more of an EQ sort of thing, but I think of that where the music, he just fucks with it. Like, he fucks with it in the program, and it starts to sound weird, and it's cool.
It's cool. That's my review of this song.
Yeah,
it's cool.
It's an intro track. I'm all here for it. This is one of the few songs that I did remember before diving into the entire thing head first, at least before I had listened to it for the podcast. And that stuff continues on a transition you probably can't make.
Yeah. I tried toying with it for a while, but
God damn it, he made it! Ah!
You know what's great? You want to know something amazing? I just came up with that on the spot because I genuinely had not been able to come up with one before.
Well, you're welcome, Matt. I'm disappointed. Ender's Toy, or Endor's Toy. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's French.
Ender's Game, whatever. Again, it's a bright
I knew you were going to make that joke, too.
Of synths and guitars with heavy distortion. With a drum beat that sounds like a blast to play on this one.
The drums, once again, just like on an inner speaker, are like fucking fantastic. The phase guitars are back, motherfuckers. There's so many parts about this song that I fucking love. And as a second track, this one's a good one.
Honestly, to me, more than anything, Ender's Toy is an extension of the sound and Be Above It. I feel like it's just dragging you into the sound of the record even more. It has a higher focus on synths, like you were talking about.
Yeah.
But all it's doing is keeping you in that same space that Be Above It did.
Yeah, I would agree. But it starts to bring back, like, Be Above It was not, you said it was like maybe the most Lonerism song on the album. Be Above It felt not like Inner Speaker, while this one felt like the first hint of like, oh, I remember that sound from that album. Because this is where I just start to feel that like his sound is wrapping up. Like, he's starting to get it finally. He's understanding what makes it his, and then he's playing with it. And this song really does it experiments with that. It's like this lone verse. Shut up. This lone verse that talks about Parker going to sleep and his contemplation on the repetitious nature of everyday life, something like that. I don't know, because Ender's Toy means go to sleep in French. So it describes him as just thoughts before going to bed, and that's what. That's
a very menacing way to say go to sleep.
Ender's Toy. That sounds like a fuck. You said Ender's Game earlier, and it sounds like an Ender's Game thing. I don't know why.
Because it has the word Endors in it.
Yeah, that's the only reason why. But whatever. I'm not. There's no connection to Ender's Game at all. Whatever. But the one thing I do really love about this track, like I said, it's like that lone verse, but it takes a minute and a half for his vocals to actually come in. And it gives the instrumental a chance to show off, especially the drums, of course, like I said earlier. And I just love the arpeggiated synth that sits in the right ear during the beginning of the track. That's just a detail I really love and I need to mention.
I like the comparison. If you play the very beginning of the song and then play the very end, you hear the chaos that is built over all it. And Mr. Tame is going to do that in quite a few different places in this record. It's a technique that he likes to employ a lot to create growth, and I think it's a very effective and very simple one. that adds a lot of room for him to just add production layering, and it's cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of this album is an onion. It's a lot of layers, and that 30 guitar solo towards the latter half of the track, man, that's probably my favorite part of the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's
yeah, no, I agree.
It's just searing, man. It's so fuzzed up. I love it.
I like how simple the composition of the vocal line is.
Yeah.
It's an extension of what I was talking about earlier. How Be Above It's melodic line is one of the big reasons that I felt like it's a good introduction to the sounds of this album.
Yeah, the melody writing on this album is overall better than the Inner Speaker, I think.
Yeah, no, John Impala, he got more focused and simple with his melody writing, and it helped a lot.
Yeah, it just because I think it just helps you fall into the sound a little bit easier.
Yes, specifically because it's psychedelic rock. This isn't like a classical choir piece. You're not trying to cross voice 4 different parts at the same time and like lead the ear and shit. No, you just want something that's like, this sounds good. I'm gonna focus on the production because that's what this really wants to deliver to me.
It's not too catchy either. Like, it's not like written completely like a pop song. There are parts that are later in this record, and I think he like really flexes that on Currents, but
yeah,
really nice melody writing.
Yeah, it's really nice, and it definitely continues in Apocalypse Dreams.
Dude, fucking Apocalypse Dreams, man.
So to me,
song. Okay, I'll let you talk about it first.
To me, I was talking about how Ender's Toy is kind of an extension of Be Above Its sound. To me, I think it's just dragging you into the sound more. Apocalypse Dreams is when it really starts to try to pull into something else.
Mm-hmm. Apocalypse Dreams is probably my favorite song on the record. This one has jumped up immensely for me, man. Something about this track, like whatever. Okay, first of all, whatever Parker did to the left channel of the piano is so fucking cool. Like, I can tell he's using reverb, but it sounds manipulated. Maybe like he's recording it in a hall and he's just letting it ring out or something. I don't know. Whatever it is, I love it. But the fucking trip that this song takes you on, man. The verse and the pre-chorus are full of energy, while the chorus just like throws you into the clouds and you're just floating around, and it's so hypnotic, man.
What's funny is I literally have a note talking about how the pre-chorus is literally rocketing you into the chorus, and you hang above the clouds. Is what it feels like.
Just because when you're thrown into it, you're just like in the air.
Yeah.
It's like you expect maybe the chorus to be a little more energetic at first, but when you get to it, you're just like floating. That's the best way I could describe it.
And what's nice is that the guitar synth duet that leads you out of the chorus, you're like still slowly floating there and being brought back down very gently before the drums come in and then just rip you back into the song.
Yeah, that and then my favorite moment of the track being where before the second chorus, it feels like the song is literally like sucked into a vacuum, and then it just pops you right back out. Like the filters are turned down completely, and then you're just like in there.
The scientific term, it zoops you out and then zoops you back in.
It does that, and then it's followed by the song being thrown back into the full second, more chaotic chorus. It's just fucking great. I really do love this song for that. And then the long outro, of course, with the beautiful instrumental.
The dreamy kind of instrumental outro that it has is probably my favorite part of the song.
Yeah, because it leaves you in the vibe, and honestly, I'm at this point, I am vibing completely with this album. A lot more than I was with Inner Speaker, because I felt like even the third track of Inner Speaker had a similar thing where I was like, what was it? I think it was Alter Ego had a moment where you were like thrown into this very airy chorus where you were just kind of floating. At least that's what I remember it as. This has a similar point, but I feel like overall this whole time I've been kind of just falling into this world of sound that he's created a lot more than I'm more invested. A lot more than Inner Speaker, at least.
It's a lot easier to feel like Inner Speaker is just you kind of just like listening to something coming out of a radio. And then this is like, holy shit, I am completely enveloped in sound.
Yeah, pretty much. Lyrically, it might be a continuation of Ender's Toy. Like he went to sleep in that one, or he was going to sleep. And in this one, he's talking about dream. Like, he may be talking about how he longs for the success or just things that he's achieved in his dreams, the great things. And he lives in a fear of maybe never being good enough. He's full of doubts. Even though he wants to change the things in his life, he's too hesitant to do anything about it. And overall, like, the past 3 songs and continuing from now, there's a lot of themes of, like, feeling like you're not good enough, doubts, loneliness. The themes on this record are pretty consistent, I'll say. But yeah, this is probably a contender for my favorite song on the record. It's just the layers of detail, the crashing synths, the drums. It's so hypnotic for me.
Because I've got 3 contenders for my favorite track on this track list, and Apocalypse Dreams wasn't one of them. And you know what's funny? It's the second longest song on the track list, so you'd assume that it would be a contender for my favorite. Yeah.
It didn't feel like it for me. It felt
it's paced very well.
Yeah.
But
maybe the long outro makes it feel like that, but
talking about favorite moments from this record. Oh my god! The guitar riff on Mind Mischief.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This
sir.
is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, guitar riffs in this whole album. Just because of how the entire song is structured around it. It acts as a driving force through the song, with every instrument following the stress or motifs that it's outlining and making. The bass line is completely structured around the same F sharp to G sharp interval that riff starts each phrase with. And he'll improv on the bass somewhat, but he always starts with that F sharp to G sharp that the riff starts with every single phrase. The drums follow their stress with the phrase that the guitar riff presents. And the fact that he constructed this entire song around this one little single phrase guitar riff that doesn't even last the whole song is so cool to me. I think it's very good composition. It's very good composition.
I wasn't thinking about the composition, but yeah, I was thinking about how fucking summery that guitar was and how much I love it. And then of course the composition of the drums themselves, the fucking constant stopping and starting. Oh, I love it.
I think this is one of the more, like, sleeper highlights from Tame Impala in general to me. I'm surprised this song isn't huge. Just because of how it
was.
Is it?
I don't know.
I've never heard it talked about.
But I don't think you hear anyone talk about any song on Lonerism besides Elephant, maybe? I don't know.
That's a good point.
I guess I haven't been around the community long enough or anyone who talks about Tame Impala to know, but whatever. Yeah, fucking Mind Mischief is a really good song. I love how summery it is. That's my favorite thing about it, is that even though it's this lyrically, like, not dark, but lyrically lonely song, this whole album is very summery, very something you can just play when, I don't know, you're just hanging out.
It feels like you're hitting the biggest bong just on the beach.
Yeah.
That's this album. That's the perfect atmosphere to listen to this album in.
Pretty much. But this song in particular, lyrically, looks into a crumbling relationship by Parker and his girlfriend. He describes how he pushed her away by giving too much attention, being too optimistic, trying to force it, and as well as how they might be playing mental games with each other. And I think he was trying too hard to love someone that may have not reciprocated those feelings back. And I think it's him learning. At a certain point in the song, he might accept to change. He might actually attempt to do it. But as we keep going, he kind of keeps talking about it. So I don't know if there's like a consistent narrative as much as he might be learning his way through this record, or he may just be talking about the themes. I really can't tell. Some of it is scattered. There might be a point later where it changes, but I'm not sure. I don't know.
I don't think there is. I didn't pick one up. I think there's just different hints of stuff that's happening in his life.
Yeah, they're just different themes, different situations of the insecurity and doubt that he's like discussing, as well as the loneliness that he feels.
Yeah.
A lot of loneliness. That's why it's called Lonerism.
A lot of loneliness and lonerism. It's a very lonely album. You know, it's a very lonely album with a very filled out sound.
That's a good point.
Ironically.
that's kind of ironic, yeah. But Mind Mischief, banger. Fucking banger.
Absolute banger. If I discovered this record back in high school, I could definitely see me listening to this music to walk home by. Which is the next song on the record. Okay, every time I hear the start of this song, my brain thinks Punk by Gorillaz is about to play, and then it doesn't play. And the song explodes in my face.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's not even, it's just like, it's a very simple intro.
Yeah, the bubbly synth.
But Punk does the same thing.
Yeah, it brings us into a chill yet uplifting sound. And just as the title implies, I could probably walk home to this. I think everyone who saw the title of this song was like, yeah, I'll try that. And they tried it, and they were like, yeah, it works. Like, I don't know. I haven't walked home to this song.
No.
I probably could, though. I don't see why not.
I mean, I own a car. I don't know why I would walk home, but...
maybe New Yorkers. This song is for New Yorkers.
Doesn't he live in California?
I thought he lived in Australia. Who fucking knows? Whatever.
Oh my god, he's Australian. I just assume, it's funny. I just assume every psychedelic rock artist lives in California.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Okay, well,
yeah.
The thing that I like, I love the fact that this song punches you in the face with that intro, because it feels like you get dropped in halfway through a performance of the song or something.
Yeah, honestly, I could totally see that.
It grabs your attention, and then you kind of like quickly fall back into the easy listening that this album provides.
Yeah, it's very chill. I mean, with the synths it has, it kind of has a little bit of a movement to it, but it's another example of that, I don't know, summery feel that I get from maybe Mind Mischief and even Apocalypse Dreams, honestly.
It is a continuation of that bright summery, you're on the beach, high out of your mind sound.
Yeah, because it gets really intense at a certain point, but either way. Yeah, I do like this song a lot, but it's not a highlight for me.
You know what's funny?
What?
This is a contender for my favorite track on the record, just because of how much it changes and grows as it goes on.
Yeah, I do like it.
It's a wonderful, it's a nice listening experience for most of it, but once that instrumental bridge comes in, that's when this jumps up to a contender for my favorite.
Understandable, yeah.
That instrumental bridge is so solid and interesting to me that it makes it a highlight to me.
No, I completely agree. And I think maybe the favorite part of it for me being like at the very end, that guitar riff that repeats.
Yeah, no, it's very good.
But yeah, music to walk home by. Will probably attempt to do it at some point in my life. Not right now though, because I don't have to walk home to anything. I drive home.
So no, this is what you should do though.
What?
You need to find a friend that lives relatively close to you, and get in your car, go to the 1975 and play Music for Cars on the drive to their house. When you're at your friend's house, you need to drink to the point where it's not going to be safe for you to drive anymore. Make sure you don't leave at a dangerous time, like when it's super dark outside or anything. But just so you're not able to drive home, you can't play Music for Cars again. So you need to go ahead and pop in Music to walk home by, and you'll get the full experience.
Okay, so the next thing we need to do after that is you need to take me to the airport, and then we need to listen to Brian Eno's Music for Airports. and then we need to go to on the airplane we'll watch a movie, and then instead of listening to the audio of the movie, listen to Brian Eno's Music for Films.
But once the film is about to end, then you need to pop in Radiohead's exit music for a film.
I think my voice broke. It was so unexpected, man. I was so good.
You sounded like a pig.
I don't know.
A pig just got strangled in North American Scum.
What the fuck, man?
Jesus Christ.
I'm cursed with this wheeze, man. I'm so fucking cursed. Oh, that was a good one. That was a fucking good one. Okay. Shall we move on then?
Oh god, this whole fucking moment. This is why people won't talk to us.
Not to the next song. Why won't they talk to me? Oh god.
Okay. First, off the bat, before anything, this is one of my favorite hooks in the entire record.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Simultaneously, this is one of my least favorite vocal performances by Mr. Tame. every single time that stacked vocal chord comes out.
Okay.
It never sounds good when it hits me. I don't know what it is. I think he just had a very, like, he didn't have a tall vowel when he was singing it, so it brought the sound down slightly, where it feels like, not a semitone, I can't remember the word, like in between semitones down, where it's just like a tuning problem, and it just, my brain doesn't like it.
Okay, nerd. I didn't notice any of that. So yeah, I do really like the hook on this song. It's like consistently catchy. It is one of the heaviest synth tracks on the album. Little or no dirty guitars pop up at all here.
Yeah.
It's a nice cool down after the heavier front half of the record, especially like the last song when it was just building and building. But
Yeah,
the chorus
I love it
here
pacing-wise.
has a fucking great hook, man. I really do love it here.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
And then,
As much as I have a problem with the delivery, this song, it's one of the songs where I look at the title and my brain instantly knows the hook.
yeah, and one of the few catchier songs on here. But yeah, he lyrically, he confronts the fact that he's lonely. He doesn't seem to accept the place he's in the world, and he keeps himself focused on the fact that if he has a tangible reason to be noticed, then he'll be fine, which is not a good idea. He's kind of fallen down farther down the hole as he's gotten through the album, honestly.
It's like he's falling into the trap of trying to make himself better to be noticed. So he's trying to better himself so other people will notice him, and that's just like that's the trap that leads to true loneliness, which is a cool coming back to the main idea of the record.
And then I think it can also have something to do with the fact that it's maybe a little bit of fame. I don't know how much he grew during Inner Speaker. I felt a little bit of fame stuff come up here. Like once, or like he said specifically, like, one day I'll be a star, they'll be sorry. So maybe. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Maybe
I don't know how Parker feels about that.
Just going into music. That could just be about his character going into music.
Maybe. I don't know if there's like a character on this record, but whatever. Yeah.
When I say that, I just mean like whatever is being talked about, because it probably is just Tame, but
yeah, but besides the chorus, honestly, this is not a favorite again. I think there's a little bit of a lull in between these two songs, Why Won't They Talk to Me and the one before it, but it's not bad for me. I think it's just like a lot of vibe, a lot of you're just sitting there through it, going through.
This is a song that's good for pacing.
Yeah.
On its own, it's less notable besides that catchy hook. It's less notable in the sound of the album, disregarding how this has a heavier focus on synths and an overall lack of guitar in its sound. But the thing is, we're kind of going to see that done better coming up.
Yeah, this is where the comparison to Currents might be an obvious thing to notice, but I don't think it's strong enough.
I don't think it's a super strong comparison yet, but you can still hear the hint of evolution in the song that really takes Tame's sound and progresses and shoots it forwards. Feels like we only go backwards. Which, immediately following my least favorite vocal performance, is my favorite in how weirdly shaky his delivery of the opening line in this track is.
No, I completely agree. The chorus on the song is so... This is probably maybe one of the poppiest songs besides another song coming later. Like,
yeah.
Extremely memorable and catchy. Probably the most popular song on the album. Most popular besides Elephant. But yeah.
I think Elephant's probably the most popular. But this is like... This and Elephant, these are the... I didn't want to use this now, but they're the elephants in the room.
That's actually pretty good.
They honestly, these are the two like pillars from this album that really get talked about the most, probably.
This is the one I've heard the most, besides Elephant, because we listen to it all the time. But outside of like us, I've listened to this one the most because it's just been played the most in places that I've been. Like for instance, I used to hear it at work all the time.
Because it's the most like Currents, and Currents is his most popular record, so. I think people look through the track list of this after discovering Currents, and then they find this familiar sound, and they're like, "Oh, okay, cool." While it's not, it's still definitely rooted in Lonerism's sound. All it is a good premonition or hint towards the synth-heavy atmosphere that he's going to create with Currents. Once we get to that,
it feels like the most accessible song as well.
Definitely, I genuinely like pacing-wise. How it drops you into a much flowier sound than the rest of the album. as if you're on that summery beach that we were talking about, and you've gone into the water, and now you're being swept in by these ocean currents. Haha, pun. It is a very solid pop song. I think the biggest thing for me to take from this song, honestly, is the drums.
No, I agree.
Because he's just having fun on the fills constantly.
Yes. He further discusses the themes that were found on Mind Mischief in this one. He's still trying to put effort into a one-sided relationship, and his partner's being pushed farther and farther away. And it just continues consistently. Like, the lyrics are good here. They're deep if you look into it overall, maybe. Like, there's a lot of things to pull from it that you could think about after, but themselves, the lyrics, I don't think are as, I don't know, deep. They're just decent.
The lyrics, they fall into the category of lyrics and lyricism, where you're tackling general themes and ideas without going into specifics, and you're making it so it's easily relatable to a lot of people, especially the people that are going to be listening to it.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's just generally good lyric writing. It's not trying to do anything super special. But on the opposite end of trying not to do anything special with your lyrics, here's my favorite lyrics on the record with Keep On Lying.
This song, this is the one, when you mentioned earlier that, like, the lyrics do something very interesting here, this is the song. Keep On Lying. Because lyrically, he's trying to build the courage to finally break apart the relationship that he's in. But as we find out by the end of the song, he'll just keep lying to himself and her. And because of that, he just repeats the chorus again. And he said himself in the song that, like, he'll tell her by the end of the song. But the end never comes because it's in the middle of the song. And it just repeats. The
song drops you in a lot like Music to Walk Home By, where it feels like you're dropped in after he's already started singing it. The interesting thing to note is how he presents that endless loop. Because it fades in, and you are hit with the very start of the chorus. The first words of the chorus is what you're hit in. That's the first thing you hear when you fade in. The song keeps going. You get hit by the lyrics. You'll know as soon as I get to the end of the song. Once you get to the end, as it's fading out, the only thing your ear is barely able to pick up is the exact sound that you heard at the very start.
Mm-hmm.
So the specific thing that makes it feel like a loop is the fact that it fades in and fades out at the same moment in this infinite loop.
Yeah, and I re-listened it just to make sure, and it did, and it was fucking awesome.
It's so cool. The line, as soon as I get to the end of the song, is probably my favorite lyric in this entire record because of how it's utilized.
And then after that point, the track just becomes trippy, and you begin to hear what sounds like people conversing, all while the instrumental continues and the people's voices gets louder, and all the voices start delaying, and the fuzzy guitar enters the picture.
It's very cool. It's one interesting thing about the vocals that you hear in this song. Tame had in an interview, he talked about how he has this thing where he obsessively records sounds wherever he is. If he's at a train station, he'll record the trains or the people talking on the overhead, like, oh, this train will be leaving, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So this is a really cool way he put it. He loves ambient sounds. For him, it's like taking photos. He loves the idea of recording a collection or a library of your sounds or stuff. So it's cool that he took a ton of different sounds of people talking and just mashed them together to create that fake crowd that doesn't actually exist. And I think it's cool. Yeah. I always like knowing the backstory behind ambience or specific sounds in a song.
That happens again later in the record, too. I think. Well, it's not explained, but it happens again. But, yeah, no. The Keep On Lying is also maybe a contender for my favorite. It's definitely my favorite lyrically because of its execution.
Sound-wise, I think it's a good example of some purposefully placed perfect pacing. It kind of lets you sit in a mostly instrumental track after the... Like, feels like We Only Go Backwards was a lot more gripping. So the fact that this song is as trippy as it is a good pacing moment, especially because you want to cool down and relax before the sound you're about to be hit with.
Yeah, definitely. Like, this one falls into a vibe for me, but then fucking the next song is just like, it smacks you with an elephant trunk.
Yeah, as previously stated, this is the elephant in the room.
Here's one of the weirdest inclusions of the album, guys.
It's one of the weirdest. This comes out of fucking nowhere. And the thing is, the drum and the guitar on this song is some of the most momentum a song has ever carried in the history of music, dude.
No, okay, don't go that far. But yeah,
it's true.
Guitar.
It is true. But I have listened to I study immensely and vicariously under the Church of Heapology. So I have listened to every piece of music ever composed, and I know for a fact that this is very high up there in like songs that carry momentum. Specifically, momentum.
Yes, it's a chugging guitar, and Parker's elephant melody really brings this fucking track to life. That little line at the beginning, the fucking elephant. But, okay, two things. This song, first of all, reminds me of Money by Pink Floyd. With its, like, descending line and its long instrumental interlude. Like, that's the first thing I thought of when I was listening to it. And the other thing is that I think it's not unusual that I could imagine elephants stomping around to this song. And in fact, I always think of that one scene from Dumbo where they're hallucinating pink elephants. Have you seen it? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Why would I watch that movie?
I don't know. Maybe you watched it when you were a kid. Either way, that fucking scene in particular has been put together with this song on YouTube, and as I was thinking about it. So I feel like I'm not the only one who thinks about it. Who thinks, like, whenever I hear fucking, like search it up after this. It really does match in a sense because they're hallucinating elephants, and this sounds idiotic saying it out loud, but yeah, it matches together.
Oh yeah, no, here it is. Elephant Tame Impala slowed plus reverb.
No, not that one.
It's just a gif of the elephant stomping around.
No, that's not what it is. No, that's not what it is.
Julian, okay, I didn't know you were into the slow reverb.
Random tangent. Random fucking tangent. I don't care. The random fucking tangent. I hate when people do the slowed plus reverb song or the other thing where it's like 8D audio where all they do is they like put a fucking like phaser on the song and have it switch from left and right channel and they call it 8D audio. Like, what the fuck does that mean? 8D audio.
I've never heard
That's literally what it is. Whenever you see those clips that it's like 8D audio or 4D audio.
I think that's just what spiders hear when they listen to music.
But I just gripe I have with like these random YouTube videos like slowed and reverbed, or what is it?
It's the opposite side of Nightcore.
Well, I don't like Nightcore either, but I feel like that one slightly has something more to offer. But slowed and reverb, I don't know.
There's yet to be a slowed and reverb version of 100 Gex because 100 Gex is the good Nightcore. So once we get 1 Gex, the band 1 Gex, the slowed 100 Gex, we will finally have good slowed and reverb, but that's not going to happen for a long time.
I don't even think, because then slowing down 100 Gex just makes it lose all of its personality.
It's not going to be 100 Gex. It's going to be the good slowed reverb.
It's going to be 1 Gex.
Simpsons Wave.
Whatever.
Okay, wait.
Simpsons Wave. Oh, that's something else.
Why? What is this connection? Why do people use The Simpsons to represent depression?
I don't know.
Those two things are the
depressing.
Furthest from... Those are on the opposite end of the spectrum of existence.
It's like because slowed and reverb videos as well as Simpsons Wave use random clips of random, I don't know, from anything they could think of, shows, movies, games, and they repeat a gif of the same clip from something completely unrelated. The one thing I always think of is there's this one specific edit that we always laugh at of It's Not Living If It's Not With You by the 1975, and it has an edit of a character from Cowboy Bebop dying. And it's one of the most impactful moments on the show. And it just has a gif of the character dying and another character reacting to it, and it's just repeating while this slowed version of Matty Healy's just singing, and it sounds so fucking stupid. Oh god. Well, there's a completely unrelated tangent in this
What
episode.
the hell did Elephant like just made us angry?
Because we're thinking about something else.
That's what this song has the ability to do. It just makes you mad. Dude! This is the most, like, one of the most out of left field songs on this record, and we had the most out of left field conversation talking about it.
We're not even done talking about it, man.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not done at all.
Oh, yeah, fucking elephant An instrumental interlude on this song is so fucking iconic, man.
Oh yeah.
The extra long guitar solo mixed in with the brooding synths and the track filtering in and out. It's fucking awesome. I love this song.
My favorite moment in the entire song is the insane drum fill that gets cut off by like a chorus of 500 Tames just going, yeah.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So
and then
good.
the fucking the specific lyric when he talks about like cutting off the mirrors of his Cadillac because he doesn't like when he looks back. But the one part when they all come in to sing that one lyric, I forget which one it is. It's very similar to what you just described. But yeah, there's a lot of cool moments on this song.
Yeah, no, it's honestly, it goes without saying that this is another favorite off the record, given how unique it is in the sound of the album and how much it has held itself up to the greatest songs down the line of Tame's discography too. But unlike some other songs where the sound itself is the only reason I like it, this has a mix because the way that the sound actually relates to the lyrics, I love.
I have no fucking clue what's going on with the lyrics. So
I know.
Please.
I like the lyrics. Let me tell you.
Okay.
Think about the sheer drive and power present in this instrumental, in this song. Now, this song is pretty much toxic masculinity, this song.
Okay, that's what I figured it was.
This is the anthem to a really buff dude and a wife beater who's so emotionally bankrupt from having to hide his insecurities and thinking that that's keeping him... He's not masculine. He's not a dude if he has fucking emotions and stuff like that. But he tore the mirrors off his Cadillac because he doesn't like it looking like he looks back.
Like he doesn't. It's not that he doesn't like looking back. Is that he doesn't like other people thinking that he looks like he looks back. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all about presentation, and the fact that this guy is so weak and insecure. It's the presentation is super cheesy in it too. With that line, he tore the mirrors off his Cadillac. You get this idea of somebody who is so insecure and trying to act so cool that it's almost comical.
Yeah, which goes with the sound.
Which goes with the sound so perfectly.
So I thought this song never really fit in the context of the record, but I could see it fitting now.
I think it absolutely does because it's all about insecurities. It's just a different outlook on it.
Gotcha. Yeah, because its placement was just so weird.
Yeah, it's the sound of it. It like comes out of fucking nowhere. And speaking, okay.
Here we go.
Not coming out of nowhere, but going out of nowhere. If I were to tell some random stranger that the worst Tame Impala song is randomly spliced right after Elephant, she just wouldn't believe me. In the name of the
Come
song...
on, man!
It's the worst song on the record. It's the worst song by Tame Impala. It's Blue Balls the song. It has easily the sickest guitar part in this entire record, and it just dies out of nowhere. It doesn't build into anything, especially not flowing into the sound of the next track. It doesn't even make a statement with its early cutting off. There's nothing to get here. It just introduces a song that doesn't exist, and then it dies. It does nothing. This song does nothing. I hate it. I hate it because it has so much potential to do something, and then it does nothing. This song sounds like it's gonna explode the scope of the album and sound, and then it just dies.
Yeah, I don't think it's that bad. I'm kidding. I don't like the way it abruptly ends, but I don't know. Something about it, the way it ends, also is charming. I don't know if that's the right word as much. Maybe it's just interesting to me that it like he made the choice here just to end it like that. Maybe it has something to do with the lyrics. I don't know.
I thought that
probably
at first.
Playing on the relationship. I don't think so though. So
I thought the cutoff was interesting at first until I ascended and realized that it's just dumb.
I don't know. It doesn't play into the next song. It does build up into something nice, but that doesn't go anywhere. I don't know why I did this. Either way, to me it's just a short transitional moment that just doesn't really matter. So we move on to the next song. And
if I'm angry about that song. This song makes me mad. It makes me angry. I don't like it. But as always, our criticism has no real meaning, given that in reference to this album, nothing that has happened so far has been anything we could control. And I know for a fact you were not expecting me to pull that transition out of anywhere.
No, I was not. 100%. I'm telling the truth. I was not expecting you to pull it off. But either way, you did.
But yay! Actually, dreamy, wonderful guitars bring you back towards the sounds present earlier in this record, so you are brought into a nice sound once again after the horrid, dreadful pain that the last song hit you with.
Okay, it's not that bad, but yeah, his delayed vocals glide us through this lush and detailed track, which just honestly grows on me with every listen.
Yeah,
because
absolutely,
just the amount of shit in it too, and then at a certain point, this track like everything goes underwater and comes back up even crazier altogether, just feeling like one of the most psychedelic points on the record.
Yeah.
And then even after that, the song restarts with a chorus to come back in and fade out, which I also love.
Another cool lyrics relating to the sound moment happens in this song, where you're talking about being underwater.
Mm-hmm.
I get this image that I'm like 90% sure Tame was trying to construct of you're at a party, and you go outside because you have completely disassociated, and you're just thinking about life, and you're just depressed, sad, and lonely. And one of your friends, probably the person that actually invited you and got you over there, they come outside with you, and they're like, "You good, dude? You want to talk about it? Okay, no, just enjoy the party. Come on, come back in." And then the sound envelops you again when you come back in. I think it's a very cool little story that gets written.
That's I could see that as like a visual image. I thought you were gonna say like the friend walks out and he's like, "Idiot," and then he throws your alcohol in your face, and that's when you go underwater, and then that's you come back.
What the hell? That's so mean.
I know, it's funny though.
You could also just say
kidding.
"idiot" and then grab you by the fucking just choke slam you back into the building,
into the pool that's outside.
Well, I think the underwater bit to me is the spoken bit.
Is it?
That's what I
don't
felt.
know. This metaphor is all you. This is all something that you've come up with that I kind of don't see.
This song puts you under. You will drown while listening to this song. There's music to walk home by and music to drown to.
Sure, Matt. Sure. Fucking a minute into the track, the audio of someone speaking shows up, and I think what I've gathered over like research is like that is his girlfriend. I think
It was his girlfriend at the time, not anymore.
Okay.
When he was writing this,
Like,
and that's part of the reason that I think it's a character coming out to console you.
Okay. Is it? I mean, because in this song, lyrically, in a sense, I think it wraps up the themes of the album with him being up to this point dealing with a lot of things that maybe he couldn't control, and I think he kind of accepts that idea in the song. This is a somewhat conclusion that I feel from this album that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure if it actually was a conclusion because it doesn't. I don't know. There wasn't that much of a narrative to begin with.
It wasn't a narrative. It was just building a character and then having it reach a point of conclusion.
And kind of leads on to the next song lyrically as well, I think.
Yeah, the next song where I had stayed up so late when I first took my notes that as I was writing the notes to this last song, the sun was coming up. Sun's
Are you
coming
serious? You actually stayed up that late and fucking writing the notes, and the sun was actually coming up. That's serendipitous. That's almost amazing. But this fucking track, a piano track in 3/4?
Yes. What? You didn't expect a 3/4 piano ballad to hit you at the end of the psychedelic rock album? Too bad.
But
here, have the best ending to a Tame Impala album.
Yeah, fortunately and unfortunately, yeah. Fucking.
Not unfortunately. What are you talking about?
I don't know. Something about the piano on this doesn't match.
I like it. I like it. It's cool. You know why it's cool?
Why?
It doesn't match, and it's completely out of left field because this character's life has just changed from the last song. They finally reached a point of, I don't know, enlightenment. That's not a good word.
I would say that, but then I feel like a transition between Suns coming up and the last song would have felt like at least something to like switch us into this sound. So I don't know if it's like completely. I don't know if that's what it exactly means. Either way, it is a quite weird track to end the album with, at least until the transition to that lone guitar solo with the heavy delay, reverb, other effects on it, blah, blah, blah. And behind it, what seems to be like a home recording of a beach, as well as some kid at the very end just talking, and which ties into the lyrics.
There's a lot of things that happen. you're talking about, like, the song changes, like, halfway through. The piano and what you're hearing at the start just ends. And the solo, distorted, phased, delayed, and reverbed guitar, along with the ambience of someone walking, is just what you're left in for a while. You get the experience of what almost sounds like somebody just walking over to the beach, and then you're hit with the sounds of the beach and him hanging out. Either you're hearing the sounds of other people there, you're hearing the sounds of the family and the people he's hanging out with, whatever. I love the journey that this song puts you through. It's weird because this song actually has, like, a setting that it creates. You get this spatial awareness from the ambience in the song. And this song would easily be my favorite track on the record if that walking ambience did not activate the part of my brain that winces at ASMR.
Okay. First of all, I didn't even know you hated ASMR.
I hate ASMR.
Second of all, it doesn't bother me. I just think it's cool. This whole part. But the reason I particularly think about it is, like, maybe not as much like a recording of him walking to the beach, like, as, like, something he recorded, and more like an actual home video, is relating to the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems to be about his father who died of cancer. And the song plays off the last song's theme of, like, not being able to control things. Maybe it affected him in this way, made him who it is, probably did. And I think that, considering the fact that it's, like, about his dad, the audio, it sounds like not a phone recording as much as, like, an old video camera. So that's what I think. And then it also deals a little bit with, of course, the idea is that you really never have control over your death, and that plays into the lyrics of this one. So, yeah, I think it's a really good ending lyrically. Sonically, it's a bit weird. I like it, though, a little at least, and I do think it is maybe the best Tame Impala ending. Better than the last one.
Better than the
sure.
Better than the last one.
You really didn't like the last one.
I don't know why the last two songs aren't switched in their placement. Ending off this record and ending off this sound of this song, the fact that this song just cuts out, because you were talking about it being a recording.
It sounds like it, yeah.
It sounds like the recording, it literally just stops. And I just had that revelation, and that just made me like this song even more.
I do like this one a lot.
I still have to ignore the part of the song that makes me want to puke. But, you know, as long as that part of the song isn't there, this is probably my favorite on the record.
Just listen to it on speakers, not headphones. You'll feel better. Whatever. Final thoughts. We're here.
We are here. We have finished the second record in Tame Impala's discography.
Which means we're right next to Currents. Yay!
Which means we are very close to Currents. I'm very interested to see how I'm going to feel about Currents, because I haven't listened to it in quite a while, whenever we do get to it. But just from the perspective of these two first records, this artist has already expanded their sound a crazy amount by their second album. This is a lot of development this early, and it's exciting. It's exciting for what they are going to continue to do. It's exciting for what they are going to evolve their sound to be. There's a lot of solid ideas in this record that are presented very well. It keeps itself in its sound, even sometimes just by, like, a thread. So he really... You hear the desire for Tame to go somewhere else. I'm excited to see how that's going to happen. But looking at this record on its own, there really isn't a moment in this track list where I feel like this shouldn't be here, except for, obviously, She Just Won't Believe Me, because that song shouldn't exist, and the person that made that song can't be Tame Impala because it's terrible. But overall, due to how just solid this track list is, it's probably an 8 out of 10 to me.
Yeah, this might be my favorite Tame Impala record. I had a long journey with this one, thinking and deciding if this was a good record, if this was as good as people said it was. And I have to say, I definitely think it was his high point overall discography-wise. But in the grand scheme of the music landscape of, like, popularity having, I don't know, just pop hits and whatnot, his best writing into pop music I think Currents is the better record, but that's because I think an average person would have an easier time getting into Currents rather than Lonerism. But I think if you give Lonerism the time of day, it will grow on you. Its lush and detailed production fill the entire thing with an array of sounds that really evoke the early psych rock while still maintaining its distinct modern Tame Impala style. There are so many moments on this album where I just fell into the sound, really taking it in, which got me to appreciate the layered production that he's improved on from the last record. Crazy sounds that he's made, that he brings to the table. Lyrically, it's a consistent and decent look into being lonely, having doubts, insecurities about yourself. There are some questionable choices on the track list, though. Like, of course, She Just Won't Believe Me. For me, the sound of the sun's coming up, and maybe Elephant if you ask the wrong person. I don't know. It feels like the songs blend together slightly, at least in the middle, and the narrative of the songs could have been a little more apparent if there was one. Ideas feel scattered at times, but I think they all mainly focus on one theme as the record goes on. Overall, I think Lonerism is Tame Impala's most consistent record yet, and I might change my mind if it's my favorite when we get to Currents, but I highly doubt it. So, for me, it's an 8 out of 10.
So, next week, definitely not Currents. I hope it's not Currents.
No.
That would be terrible pacing.
Yes.
You have been excited to talk about this one. So
yeah, because so a couple weeks ago we were hanging out and we were just relaxing and chilling, and we were watching a show and just enjoying the fuck out of it. And specifically while we were watching it, I was thinking about how much a specific album had influence and just how much they were similar. This one album influenced a specific show, and how much fun I was just having with this show. And I just remember, I thought about it. I was like, yeah, this album feels like the show and is very fun to talk about and listen to because of its variety, because of its stupidity, and because of just how creative and how good the execution is on each and every one of the genre styles they take on.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
The show we were watching, was SpongeBob SquarePants.
Oh my god, it's Wayne. Yeah.
So next week, we're talking about
yes!
The Mollusk.
The Mollusk!
Yes,
yes!
we're here.
I'm only going to listen to Ocean Man.
No, we're not only going to listen to Ocean Man. Ocean Man is great, but there's a lot of other gems on that record. So, next week, The Mollusk by Ween.
Alrighty.
Well, let's go.